What'd you think, Amy?
Hello, I loved it.
I have fun putting those together.
It was very fun.
Well, we want to welcome everybody to Sasquatch Watch Radio. My understanding is Facebook is having some issues tonight. I've gotten two responses here that Facebook is not allowing a live stream right now. So I'm assuming this is just on YouTube tonight. Oh, me. Technology. So anyway, Amy, it's great to have you on the show. This is the first time I think you and I have met.
So, like I said, unless we passed in the night and didn't know it.
Yeah, like I say, we probably met somewhere. The Ohio Bigfoot. We've met somewhere, I'm sure.
Somewhere probably.
Just don't remember. But anyway, it's great. It's great to have you on, and I guess we'll just start right off. How long have you been in this?
I have been in this 12 years now.
Okay.
So some days it feels like longer and some days it feels like shorter. So
Yeah,
that's when it all started. I wasn't really into Bigfoot at all before that, and saw something I couldn't explain, and here I am.
Yeah, and that's what happens to a lot of us. I know for me, it was, when I was young and I saw the Legend of Boggy Creek, and that kind of got me interested. The old Smoky Crabtree.
Oh yeah.
And then of course the PG film, looking at those pictures and some of the school textbooks that we had, so it started young with me, but I never really did anything about it until 2004. So
okay.
That's when I had started. So it's definitely interesting to hear how people get started in it. So, yours was an encounter, or did you see something?
I just saw something. I don't know what it was. I was going to say I never saw the Legend of Boggy Creek as a child, but I saw Sasquatch: The Legend of Bigfoot. I remember that. It scared me. But
I remember that one too.
Yeah. No, I saw something from about 100 yards away in a moving car, and I don't know what it was, but the impression it made on me, what I thought it looked like, was Bigfoot. And I yelled out, I think I just saw Bigfoot. And from there, it's been 12 years trying to figure that out. You just go back in time.
Sometimes we're all still trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you had where did that happen? Where were you at when you had that sighting?
It was in Ohio, which is why I not just why, but a big reason why I immediately thought it was really stupid of me to think that. I had zero clue at the time that people in Ohio or anywhere were saying they really saw one. I didn't know that there were so many witness reports and all of that. So once I started looking into it, because it was just so weird to me what I had seen, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me, because if Bigfoot is real, they wouldn't be in Ohio. That's what I kept thinking about. So, but it was in northeastern Ohio, standing alongside a reservoir full of water. That's the city's water supply around here. And although I don't know what that was, what I do know is that other people have seen things around there as well.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting when you get into this when, like you had said, you didn't know that, Ohio, but now that you've gotten into it and you've talked to so many people, it's just amazing how many people want to talk about it.
It really is. It really is. I wear my Bigfoot hat pretty much everywhere I go. Because people come up to you and just start telling you their stories. And now that I go out and actively try to get people's stories, it's really quite astounding how many people have a story.
And that was always one of my favorite things at these Bigfoot events, when you're sitting at your table and then somebody comes up and says, and they're looking around, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. Those are the best ones.
They are, you know, and even better for me, my opinion is, I still do some Bigfoot events and things like that, but I more often go to outdoor shows, like hunting
Hmm.
and fishing shows. And that's where I really have gotten a lot of reports over the past several years,
Yeah,
because they're exciting because a lot of these people have never told their story,
right.
to somebody who's actually interested in it.
Yep, and that's a great idea. I remember, when we were doing the events at Cabela's up in Wheeling, West Virginia. I mean, you would have hunters coming in there, just people coming in, and they just wanted to, they'd never been to a Bigfoot event, so they
Right,
come to a Cabela's event, and yeah, they're all ready to talk.
right, right.
So it's definitely interesting. So here's another big question that we all get asked a lot. What do you think it's going to take to bring proof to the scientific community that this thing exists?
I think the obvious answer is a body, right? I mean, I am not a pro kill Bigfoot type person. I could never do that, but I can see why people say that's what it's going to take. Um, I've often said my dream is to find one that died peacefully and it sleeps out there somewhere. but
Right.
but you know, especially with artificial intelligence involved, with pictures and videos and stuff, I think that's going to be less and less of shore proof.
Yeah.
Really good DNA, with that could be almost there, but I feel like it's going to have to be a body.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's what I
Yeah.
think.
Well, we can always hope that, well, I guess it ain't a good thing to hope for, but someone hit one with the car and
Right, right. No, I know what you mean. Died quickly.
right. So, what is one thing you want everyone to know about you?
Oh my goodness. As far as Bigfoot goes,
Well, just you. You're a researcher. How do you want people? What's the one thing that you want people to just know that you're about?
oh, it's going to be hard to do one. I'm thinking of two things. Can I say two things?
Sure.
Does it have to be one? Well, I think the thing that I would want most as far as Bigfoot is concerned is that people would know that I'm an honest person. I am somebody who takes this seriously, but I more so take the people involved seriously. So if somebody tells me their story and they really don't want it to be shared, I've gotten flack for that from other people, like, why don't you show us all these stories you get, or we don't believe you that this is going on. But if it is private, then I keep it private. So
Yeah.
I wish we could all share all of the stories. I'm sure there are some that you've gotten where people are like, I don't want anybody to talk about it, but I really would
Yeah.
want people to know that they can trust me. I'm not somebody that says I see Bigfoot all the time, because I don't. Um,
Right.
even the two even the two times when maybe I did, there were two
Hmm.
two different times, that original one and then another one 6 years later, where I saw something. I can't with good conscience um, say for sure it was Bigfoot, because I don't know. It wasn't,
Right.
I didn't see it right in front of me in the daylight. And um, so I'm not going to make things up. So I want people
Yep.
to know that I really take it seriously, that I respect what they're telling me, and that I will always be the most honest that I can be about it. And the other thing I would like people to know is just, um, Bigfoot is a passion of mine, trying to figure this out, getting out in the woods, going on adventures, educating myself about the animals and plants and history of the areas that I go into. And a lot of that stems from the fact that I am a cancer survivor twice. Also had some other medical problems that I've gone through, and not having a pity party in any way. I'm more having a yippee party because I'm, beat them, thankfully,
Yep.
with a lot of people's and doctors and God's help. But I would just encourage people. One of the things I say at a lot of the talks I give is I try to encourage people to go after whatever it is that they really want to do. So it could be looking for Bigfoot, or it could be learning to scuba dive, or whatever it is.
Right.
But just to go after things with passion. And a lot of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of are just because I feel that, having cancer and really thinking about, okay, I don't have all the time in the world necessarily. None of us do, but I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I think it took a lot of the fear out of me, that whether or not it's camping with the grizzly bears or whether it is, calling a colleague up that I was kind of intimidated by and say, hey, you want to join my project here, or do you want to collaborate on something? I used to be pretty shy about doing anything like that, and now I'm like, hey, the worst people can say is no, right?
Yeah, right. And I tell people all the time, if it's not for Bigfoot, just getting out in the wilderness, there's no place more peaceful than just going somewhere out in the middle of the woods, and maybe even take a camp chair and just sit down and just stay quiet and just watch the wildlife just come alive.
I agree. There's never a wasted day in the woods, I don't think, Bigfoot or not.
No. And believe me, you'll have a lot more than that than you will ever have in a sighting or an encounter.
100%. 100%.
Oh man! All right, so since we're at about 15 after, we're going to go ahead and have some fun.
Okay.
So everybody that watches the show knows that we always have AI come up with a couple songs about our guest. So we're going to go ahead and play this first one and see what everybody thinks. Here we go.
She's got a wild pursuit. Rolling forest, looking for the evidence. Oh yeah. Through high hills, she travels far and near, in search of Bigfoot, her heart filled with hope and fear. Searching for Bigfoot, she's on the trail, chasing every myth, she's never gonna fail. Penny build the researcher with the heart so true. In the depths of the forest, she'll find the clue.
I tell
Oh my gosh,
everybody,
I love that.
we have AI making up all these pictures now, and we got to watch out for. And now AI as a songwriter and singer might hit the charts soon.
Might. That's gonna be a hit around my mom's house anyway.
All right, here's the second one it came up with.
In a heart of Ohio, there's a legend they say about a woman who's determined to find her way. Amy built a researcher with a heart so bold. She's on a mission to discover the truth untold. Amy built chasing footprints in the night with a camera and a flashlight. She won't stop, won't give up for the fight. Amy built searching for Bigfoot in the wild.
That's so cute. I need to get
I
my
love
students
them.
to do those.
That's one of my favorite parts is getting AI to make songs.
It's really fun.
Well, they're here on YouTube. Anytime you want to re-listen to them.
I'm gonna play them for my 7th graders.
So is that what you do? Are you a school teacher?
I am. I
Okay.
teach fifth, sixth, seventh, and ninth grade, but my homeroom is seventh. So I spend my days with those guys.
Okay. Now, do they ever ask you? Do they know? Have you talked to them?
Oh yeah, they ask me all the time. You going looking for Bigfoot this weekend, Ms. Boo? So yeah, some of them think I'm crazy. That's okay. But some of them are really interested in it. So it's a fun thing to do, and it's their favorite way to try to get me off topic. Is to ask about Bigfoot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Most kids they get really interested, and if anything, you're teaching them about how to, have an adventure. So.
Right. Absolutely.
So, are you working on anything currently? Any kind of current projects or research? I know you got Project Zoo Book. You can talk about that, certainly.
Sure. Well, Project Zoo Book is my favorite. Actually, we have a new website that it's switching to projectzoobook.org, but it's in transfer right now. Okay. So that .com might still be around, but zoo.org will be available.
Okay.
Project Zoo Book, long story short, is a group of researchers and scientists. I met online a young lady who ended up being a primate zookeeper. And she was talking about, before I knew what she did, she was talking about how she and her coworkers were really interested in Bigfoot and wanted to go out looking, Then I found out that they were all the primate department at a zoo, and they wanted to learn more about everything. And so I kind of introduced them to some of my friends in the Bigfoot community. We started doing phone calls, group phone calls, and then fast forward a little bit, more and more scientists started getting involved, and several other researchers. And now every other Thursday, normally, we have a Zoom. We call ourselves kind of a think tank of different biologists, wildlife biologists, marine biologists, primatologists, anthropologists, lots of smart people out there who are either very interested, simply very interested in Bigfoot, or who have had experiences themselves. And so we have a lot of different side projects going on. We cross paths with, and a lot of us collaborate or are both involved in that, and the Olympic project out in Washington State, which I'm also a member of. So one of the reasons that I really appreciate people having me on their podcast like tonight is because we're always looking for new scientists to get involved, and you never know who's watching or listening.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of what I do. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sure you've met Meldrum.
Oh yeah, several times, and he's been on our calls several times too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is a gentleman. I love him to death.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He really is. And he whenever we have a new scientist that we really want to lure into the circle, we try to get him on the call.
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah. That's the other thing. He doesn't seem, as, he's on every documentary, right? Mm-hmm. But he never seems too busy to help you. No, he's not. He's very humble. Yep.
And very encouraging too, for sure.
Yes.
So doing those, Project Zoo Book and the Olympic Project are both involved with the new Sasquatch Legend Meets Science documentary that's going to be coming out this year. We did some filming back in December for Project Zoo Book. I'm writing a book, and I was telling my mom the other day, I'm determined to get it done this summer, hopefully. Yep. My book is about Tom Page, who you might know. Who was a financial backer of Roger Patterson and Peter Byrne after Tom Slick died. Yep. And Paige and I collaborated on this book until, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. So it took me a while to start it back up without him, but I'm going to get that done. And doing a lot. I have 2 more outdoor shows to do, and then I'm kind of done for the season. My whole early year, like January, February, March, most of my weekends are are spent doing that all around Ohio and especially in Pennsylvania. So
Yeah.
I'll be in Clearfield County this coming weekend, just speaking there and gathering reports.
Nice. Nice. So now, is that another one of the camping events?
It's hunting and fishing.
Okay, hunting and fishing.
Yeah,
All right.
hunting and fishing shows. So it's
Now,
me
can
and a
people
bunch of
just
hunters.
can people just show up there, or is there an admission, or?
There's an admission fee. I know 12 and under is free. I don't think the admission fee is very high, but I'm not
Okay.
sure because I don't put it on or anything like that. But one of my heroes and someone who's become a friend, Roland Welker from the TV show Alone from the History Channel, he's going to be there again this year. We spoke together a few years ago, and he's going to be there again this year. So I'm excited to see him. And Tim Andrus and the PA Boys Outdoors, and Jerry, my friend, who's the coyote hunter. So it's just fun. I found the outdoors industry to be very welcoming to me. And the first time I did one of those near Pittsburgh, PA, I wasn't sure how it was going to be taken, but it's been great. We set up a table. I give a couple talks, and I sit there, and sometimes my friends and fellow researchers will be along with me, and sometimes Lester, my fiance, comes too. He'll be there this weekend, and people come up to the table to check us out, and we get a lot of stories that way.
Yeah.
Trying to see what's going on.
That's so fun, and that sounds so exciting. I never really thought about the whole, camping, fishing, hunting shows, but that's a great idea. I mean, great way to meet people that have stories that wouldn't necessarily come to a Bigfoot event.
Yeah. I was very fortunate because in 2000, I think it was 18, maybe 19. My memory isn't great anymore. Dave Groves from PA gave me the opportunity to do my first one because he wasn't able to do it. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to do this? It's not really my thing."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Yes, I want to." Again, not knowing how it was going to be taken. You don't know if people are just going to laugh at you the whole time.
Right.
And we get that somewhat, but for the most part, everybody's been very welcoming, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the you don't know how an event's going to go until you do it, until you try it,
Right.
and that was the whole thing too. When we first went, when Cabela's first started doing these, I think they called it the strange and unusual sightings. And I don't know, did you ever meet Dave Drageson before he passed away?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dave and Cabela's talked, and Eric Altman, all those guys, and when we went that first event, we really didn't know, it was the first time. So, but we were shocked. I mean, there was a lot of people, and and people who just were in the store, would just come and check it out,
Right.
and there was no admission, so everybody felt free to, just show up and. But we always enjoyed those most. And I'm sure you enjoy those camping shows because it's just, getting the people to come up and talk. I mean, that's really what you want.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm there. I don't really sell anything except a few things like my mom makes. I'm just there to get stories, and I do. And I always say that usually there's like at least one story that day or a person that I meet that makes it worthwhile, because it does get tiring. Some days you sit there and you're like, man, like, am I wasting my time or not? But there's always something good out of it. I prefer to be out in the woods, looking myself, and I do that as much as I can too. But I feel that there's a lot of value in getting those stories while we can.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So, do you have any mentors?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I do. I do have mentors. I'm trying to think how I'm going to say this.
Well, here we'll put a disclaimer. We'll put a
Yeah,
disclaimer.
no,
If she
no, I
doesn't
do.
mention you, it's not because she's being mean.
No, exactly, exactly. Well, when I first got into this, into the Bigfoot community, if you want to say it that way, um, I would say that a big mentor to get me out of my shell and to make me feel like I was really believed,
Hmm.
was Mark Mazel from
Hmm.
Ohio.
Yep.
Um, and I don't see Mark that much anymore, but I appreciate everything that he, taught me about things and everything, that all the people that he introduced me to and things like that. So um, definitely, I wouldn't be able to, if I'm thinking of a mentor, I would never be able to pass Mark by.
Right.
Need to get out there and see Mark more often. And then another one, I don't know if she thinks of herself as a mentor to me because we've only actually been together in person a few times, once camping out in the Pacific Northwest. But Shelley Covington, Montana, out from
Hmm.
Texas, she taught me a lot. She really taught me a lot, and she showed me how to be a strong woman in this whole field of study, if you want to call it that,
Yep.
to be unapologetic for how I think about things. Um, and I just very much admire how she goes about what she does. Again, it's not like we've spent a lot of time together, but I've always watched her, and I've always taken notice of what she does. So
Yeah.
I would consider her to be a mentor. And
Nice.
I feel like I'm absolutely forgetting maybe somebody important. That's why I was like
Well, look.
hesitating. I'm like, oh, there's just a
You
lot of
know.
people that you learn things from. But I
Yeah.
also feel, I want to say, this is also kind of why I hesitated. There have been some people in Bigfooting who went out of their way not to mentor me.
Hmm.
There are a lot of people who are very resistant to having anybody new in the field,
Absolutely.
and who have been like, you can't have an opinion because you haven't been around long enough.
Right.
You can't, why should we listen to any ideas that you have because you are new, back when I was very new. And
Right.
but I kind of thank them, and in a weird way maybe they were mentoring me because I try very hard not to be like that. So
Yeah.
if there's somebody new, I'm like almost rooting for those new people to be the ones to find good evidence, because
Yeah.
you don't I respect knowledge and experience, don't respect arrogance.
Yep.
And I feel that we should be encouraging more people to be in this.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but in a weird way, people that are your haters, I guess, can teach you things too.
There's a lot. There's a lot in here, Amy.
I know. I know.
I'm sure that you've run into them.
I have. But I'm still
So,
here.
yeah, exactly. So, what do you think is the most important tool in the research?
Oh gosh. Um, you could go a lot of ways with that question, but the first thing that popped into my head is an open mind. And
Hmm.
whether that's simply like trying new ways to collect research, or um, thinking of new ideas about where to go or when to go or who to collaborate with. It could be that, as far as an open
Hmm.
mind. But also, I feel like there are so many people that really do think that they have it all figured out, that their way is the only way. And I just hope I never get to be like that. Like, I have a
Right.
very specific interest in this, very specific reasons for doing this. I'm not
Right.
apologizing for that. Like, I 100% want to know if there could be a living, breathing, pooping creature out there, a
Right.
natural, earthly primate. whether that's
Right.
closer to an orangutan or closer to people or whatever. I don't know. That's
Right.
my interest. But
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything that bothers me more with all the people that make fun of each other on both sides of, like, whether
Yes.
you're talking, somebody like myself who's more traditionally scientific in my pursuit, or somebody who's maybe out of the box a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't know who's right or wrong. I just know that my interest is in this, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
it's okay that their interest is over here. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to, never say never when it comes to Bigfoot,
Right.
and to be kind to people. Be kind to people.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's one of the things that probably bothered me most, and one of the reasons I left was because I saw people, researchers, friends who were in this for years, and now they won't talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, we're searching for something we still don't know if it exists or not, but we're having fun.
Right. That's what it should be
There's
about.
no reason to have this ego or this animosity or whatever it is
Yeah.
against one another. So
Some people
yeah,
just forget that.
it's sad. That's the saddest part of the whole thing.
It is sad, and it almost ran me out of town too, but I'm too stubborn. And you are too, because you're back.
I know. Ain't that the truth? So, all right. So we're going to take about a 1 minute break for an advertisement, and then we'll get back to some questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, as everybody knows, that's my good friend Eric Altman that's putting that on, and we're trying to advertise to get the word out there. That's just going to be a fun event. Just just I have been known to do some karaoke. Okay, they're going to have some karaoke.
That's fun. Can I say one
Yeah.
more mentor that I thought about?
Yes, absolutely.
Remember I said I knew I was forgetting somebody? I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to find that. I would like to say Shane Corson from out in
Mhm.
Washington State from the Olympic Project. He's like my Bigfoot brother, I swear.
Yeah.
He has done more than probably anybody else to make me feel like I can contribute something, that I am contributing something, to tell me don't read the
Yep.
posts in certain places,
Right.
and just to remind me what this is all about. So I've
Right.
learned so much from him, and I couldn't have done it without him. So I knew there
Yeah.
was somebody big. I'd like to thank my mother.
No,
Did I
that's
laugh?
okay. Because again, I put you on the spot, so I
No,
can't
just my
expect
old
you
friend.
to, let's see. So here's another one I've heard discussed a lot. Do you think these creatures migrate?
Okay, if they're real, I think that they most likely, I don't know if migrate is the right word. I think that they move around to follow the food that's available,
Yeah,
for
like a
sure.
bear.
Like other animals do.
Right.
Whatever is blooming at the time, or ripe at the time, or where the other animals are. If the fish are spawning, So sure, I think that they do that. And I think, well, I don't think, I know that like footprints that seem to be from the same creature have been found many, many, many miles away from other
Mm-hmm.
footprints. So I do think that they definitely probably move around from the weather and food supply, food sources, water, all that kind of thing, like any other, or like many other animals do.
Yeah.
True migration, I don't really see.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think, I've always thought that, some people think they migrate, east to west, and I don't think they do that. I think they do stay in the general
That's what
area.
that makes
Yeah.
sense to me. Could I be wrong?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, right. So we already talked about that. Here's another one. So a lot of people post pictures of different things, okay, like stick structures or tree formations. Do you think those things could be Bigfoot related, or do you think it could be something else?
Honestly, I always feel bad saying this, but I think most of the time it's not Bigfoot. I feel like unless it's something very, very unusual that a person or a Boy Scout or Girl Scout or the wind couldn't do,
Mm-hmm.
like if any of those things could do it, I just feel like that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
I've done different bushcraft, making different shelters, making uh, stick formations myself or rock formations
Yeah.
to show me the way out of somewhere. So I'm like, if
Yep.
I'm doing it, other
Yeah.
people could be doing that too. Now,
Yeah.
that's not to say I do, like, my best answer to your question is I don't know.
Right.
Could they do something like that? I'm sure they could if, they're intelligent enough, it seems. But
Yeah.
I, I will have to say, like, I'm not super interested in that because I see no proof there. So I would
Yeah.
rather hear a person's story. Like if somebody has a story about where they were when they found a stick structure and maybe they saw something or heard something like
Right.
that, I'm more interested than that structure. Does that make sense?
Yep. That
Not
makes
I'm
perfect
not
sense because
I'm not
let's
poo-pooing
face
it
it.
at all. I just don't know.
Right. Oh no, no. Well, I've looked at it like this. Could it be human? Because we have hunters that create hunter blinds,
Yes, they do.
So it can be a hunter blind. It could be, but like you said, we have weather phenomena that can do some really strange things to trees
It really can.
that
Yes.
look unusual, but then when you do a closer examination, you realize, oh well, the tree just fell from this spot, and you know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
most
just one of
most of
those
the
things
stuff
that
that
I
we
never
find is weather related, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And it's one of those things that I never really quite understood why people jump from these sticks to Bigfoot. Like
Right,
why people make that jump.
right,
Maybe I just don't understand that. And I'm not making fun of it. I hope it's not coming across like that because I just really don't know. But it to me, I don't feel like that's going to be proven one way unless I see a Bigfoot doing it.
yeah,
So I don't spend that much time on it.
yep, nope, I agree. Um, Here's one of the other theories out there, and again, I don't know how we could ever prove this, but what are your thoughts on the infrasound theory?
I knew you were going to ask that. Well,
There's a reason I asked that because you and I share something similar.
oh, okay. So if it's what you're thinking, I don't know about it either. I mean, I know it's a real phenomenon and different animals can use infrasound. Um, I don't know of any other primates that do. Doesn't mean Sasquatch or whatever Sasquatch is couldn't. But yeah, I mean, I used to kind of put it in the same, you know, part of my brain as the stick structures. Like, I don't know, maybe
Right.
not. But when I had an experience in the Allegheny National Forest 2 autumns ago, it scared me so badly because myself and two of my friends that were there with me, we were actually waiting for a Wall Street Journal reporter to come the next day. So we weren't really like prepared we didn't have any audio recorders out or anything. We were just like, do we
Right.
have everything we need? Like, we were all excited. But we had all gone into our separate places to sleep. I was in a tent. My friend Monica was in a tent. My friend Tina was in her van. And we all had the same experience where separately, and we didn't know we all had the same experience till the next morning, we felt this feeling like I was lying there in my tent thinking I was having like a heart problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm in heart failure from the first time that I had COVID when it was really bad, like one of
Yeah.
those first rounds. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I need to get to a hospital. It was just making, like, you could feel it, like this,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I was lying there wondering what in the world that was. And something yelled out of the tree line past where the other two ladies were sleeping. And well, they weren't sleeping because they were listening to it too, but I didn't know that at the time. Just this most powerful yell. Like I felt like if I was standing outside, it would have, like, my hair would have blown back like in a cartoon.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it was just so powerful. So the next morning when we were talking about it and we all realized we had that same experience, and that just that like vibration, we looked in, like anything else it could be, we're like, was there fracking going on? And we couldn't find anywhere. We called different places, couldn't find any evidence of that, or a
Yep.
or earthquake or whatever. But after we were talking about it, and just the sense of fear that you had even before the really creepy, terrible yell.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very, very remote in there. You know, not at a campground. You had to bring your shovel and everything. And in fact,
Right.
it scared me so badly I had to like leave my tent because it like upset my stomach and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I never get scared, because I do, but not like that. It
Right.
was just
Different.
so weird. But it upset my stomach and just gave me a really big sense of dread.
Yes.
So what that was, I do not know, but it's made me more open because I've heard other
Yes.
people that have had that happen, and I'm like, I don't know what that was. I've
Yep.
never experienced before in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those. It's one of those once in a lifetime. Well, I'm hoping.
I hope.
I'm hoping.
I still have
Um,
nightmares about it.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so we were doing an investigation right outside of Richmond Airport in Richmond, Virginia. And it was some land that was being planned to be developed into some shopping malls. And the lady who called in the sighting, she had a sighting of a creature. She called in. She was actually trying to find a way to stop the developers. Okay, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really sure Bigfoot will stop a development, but in her defense, she was finding Native American artifacts and things like that on the land. So she was building her a good case, to stop development. So when she called about the sighting that she had, we drove out there the very next day, and it was me, three of my boys, which, well, I've got three boys, that's it, and then some other researchers. And she showed me where the creature had entered into the woods. So I decided to enter, and the way the woods was set up, it was like about 200 yards wide, and then there was a cornfield on one side and a soybean field on the other. So I had put two of my younger boys, I wouldn't let them go into the woods. I had them stationed on one side of the woods in the field, and then I had my older son on the other side. And I just told them to stay put, don't go anywhere. And then, of course, I had some other adults. They were all within visual distance of each other. So as I entered the woods, I guess I probably got in a good 100 yards. And that was back during the Nextel phone days. Remember the flip phone Nextels, right?
Yeah.
So we had our phones on silent, and then my phone's vibrating, and I answer it. And it's my middle son. My middle son's like, now here's the thing. I can corroborate the story, because one of my sons was on the phone with Sean Forker at the time of the sighting, relating exactly what my other son was relating to me over the phone.
Wow.
So about 70 to 80 feet in the woods, they saw something standing behind a tree, and it kept leaning around watching them. They got a good look at it. It was a gray silver color creature. They said it was probably about 7, 8 feet tall, and it just kept making a motion around the tree, watching where they were at. And they said it kept, like, it would turn like it was trying to figure out where to go. We figure I was in the middle of the woods, so I was below it. They were above it. And I think it was trying to figure out, okay, what is my exit plan? Right. So as we're on the phone, all of a sudden he goes, "Dad, it just took off. It's going deep in." And as soon as he said that, I don't know what happened. I saw out of my right peripheral vision, I saw a flash of something. And I mean, it was fast. But right at that point in time, and again, this is hard to explain, and I'm sure it was hard for you to explain. I went down on the ground. Don't ask me why. I went down on the ground and I laid in the fetal position. And I felt nauseous. I felt like my whole body was tingling. And I laid there for about 5 minutes. And once I got up, I had completely forgotten how I got to where I was at. So I had to spend several minutes convincing myself that I had the creek on the right side as I walked in, so that if I turn around and it's on my left side, I can get back out of here.
Right.
And that's what I did. Never had that happen again, ever. And it just so happened during that whole, scenario.
That's really scary. Now, one of the things you were talking about, the phone and being on the phone and all that, when the next day, when Tina was the one that actually brought up about feeling those weird vibrations, and when we left the area, because like I said, we were really out far. When we left the area and finally got a phone signal, all my texts that I was like in my tent, like, Tina, there's something wrong with me, trying to get them through, but they wouldn't go through. Or they were like, bing, 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 coming in.
Right.
2 days later after that happened. So then we're like, yeah, it all happened to all of us. It was very strange.
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. So I don't know if it was infrasound or what, but it was scary. It made me sick.
Again, it's a theory, and nobody really knows. So, let's see. All right, here's another one we hear a lot about. Wood knocking. Do you think these wood knocks are a way of Bigfoot communication, or what do you think?
Now that I think they sure could be. When I first got into Bigfooting, I did a lot more of that, just because mostly the people that I was around at the time did, and so we would kind of do those wood knocks and stuff. But I don't really so much anymore. I do a lot with kids, and they're all about the wood knocks. So if I'm out with the kids, we always do lots of wood knocks.
Right.
And then the next day after that whole thing happened with the journalist that came in, he insisted on doing wood knocks. It's like, I want the whole experience. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I will say that when I'm out in a certain area for days on end and you kind of get bored and nothing happens, maybe I'll try that. And I'm not pun here, knocking it or anything, but I don't do it so much. I kind of just act like a normal camper anymore. And a big reason for that is because I don't know what that would be communicating. Say it is a Sasquatch technique. What am I saying to them? So I kind of stay away from it more than not.
Right.
But I'll knock
really,
once in a while.
And really, when you think about it, who's the ones having the most sightings? The regular campers.
Yeah, they are. You're right. But chimpanzees knock on trees and stuff. So the idea of it is is decent. I don't make fun of it or anything. I just
Right.
don't know what I'd be saying.
Yep. Yep. Now, how about so in in everything that you've learned over the years, what do you think the population of these are? Do you think there's a lot? Do you think there's just maybe a few hundred, few thousand?
That's something that we talk about in Project Zoo Book every once in a while, and I don't know that we've ever really come to a consensus of opinion. Um, Here's what I think. I think that, and I don't know, but I think most days, because my opinion, sometimes I go back and forth,
Right.
that just like, I always think about the Cross River gorillas, which are over on the border of Cameroon and Nigeria over in
Mm-hmm.
Africa. And they think that there are only 200 to 300 of them left in the
Yeah.
wild. They were very, very hard to find. They were cryptids for a very long time until pretty
Yeah.
recently because people couldn't find them. And one of the scientists I work with in Project Zoo Book, the curator at the institution he used to work for, had lived over there in the Cross River region for, I believe, 8 years looking for these. Like that's what he was doing, working with
Right.
the natives, trying to find them, and finally saw, I think, a few of them for a total of 10 seconds. So they're very hard to find.
Right.
The reason that they are so hard to find is because there's not that many of them, and
Right.
because they're smart. The first video footage ever gotten of them, they're all staring at the camera. So they're very intelligent and aware of what's going on there. But I feel like if they are a natural creature, I don't know that there could be that many of them.
Yeah.
Especially like when you go to the Pacific Northwest or to Alaska or whatever, I feel like there could be more because there's more
Yeah.
places to hide. But I'll just put it this way. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me that there could be tons and tons and tons of them and not
Right.
finding the body.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. But it, when you base that off of other known primates,
Hmm.
like you were talking about, it seems to make more sense.
It
That
does.
there's probably not a whole lot left.
Right.
So,
But what I like to say is what doesn't make sense to me, don't take that for a lot of wisdom because a lot of things don't make sense to me.
all right, we're waiting on Gary Kendrick. Apparently, he has a question, so I'm waiting on him to type it. So we'll see what his question is. Yeah, I think. Well, he's on Facebook, so I'm wondering if we're working on Facebook now. It's still showing it's not. Okay, here, I'm going to put his question up. Let me get this one down. There you go.
How do I feel about the more supernatural things people report, like the lights or cloaking? That's kind of what I was talking about before. I feel strongly that somebody like myself, where my interest is not that, it's more like just a regular primate, doesn't mean I'm right, right? I have people who are very good friends of mine that are their interest is more on the supernatural type things. I often say that things that are paranormal or supernatural most of the time are things we just don't understand yet. Like
Yeah,
we don't, our science that we know of or that's told to us does not maybe have a grip on how those things could happen, but it doesn't mean they're not happening. Um, I don't always know again why people jump from there's lights in the woods or there's, you know, things people are seeing and that it's all of a sudden Bigfoot. Like it could be something else going
right.
on. So I don't quite understand that, but who knows? It's
Yeah,
not my interest, but that doesn't mean it's not true, if that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah, and I know what Gary's talking about. Him and I were on an expedition, and obviously we were there to do Bigfoot research, but we did see the lights. I mean, the lights are really strange. They defy anything that we know as aircraft. When you have two lights coming together and almost bouncing off of each other and going in all directions. I mean, I can't
Well,
explain
yeah, and
that.
I've seen some weird lights once in a while, like out in Kentucky, but I just don't necessarily associate that with Bigfoot. I guess is
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
Not that that doesn't
I,
for sure happen.
I'll put it this way: I don't want to associate it with
Right.
Bigfoot
True.
because
And
I
like
don't
to
want
be
Bigfoot to
honest, I
be
don't either. So
supernatural.
right. To be honest, I don't either. So that but that doesn't mean that it's true.
I know. I understand, Gary. I mean, when you see something like that and you can't, that's the problem. We can't explain it.
Right.
When you
It
see
messes
it
with your
and
mind, Gary. I
can't,
understand.
yeah,
Right.
it does. It does mess with you. So anyway, wow, we're already at 10 o'clock. I can't believe it. I'm not going to hold you any longer, Amy.
It's all right.
I really appreciate you coming on the show on kind of short notice, really.
Well, I
And
appreciate you having me. Thank you.
we really enjoyed it. Do you mind hanging on while I do the closing credits and just kind of
That's
hang on,
fine.
and we'll chat just a few minutes?
Sure.
All right.
Then I have to grade
One of-
papers.
Hey. All right. I'll thank everybody for being on the show. And Gary, thank you for your question. I know that a lot of people couldn't get on because of the Facebook issues, but you got the archive show that you can go to on YouTube. And so we will see you next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.
Bye, everybody.